What's up, guys? Welcome back to another and the final episode of the season with NASCAR Around the Track with the Riders, featuring myself, SterlingRider, and Duke Rider.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
As you can see, I'm not in my typical location. I'm currently on a work trip, but I'm able to squeeze this in because work ended really early today with it being Veterans Day. So happy Veterans Day! Thank you to those who served. Even though you may not be watching this on that day, still, thank you guys. But anyways, the season's over. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that. I don't know what else to really say.
Well,
Without
let's
going
be
into.
let's be honest. This format got I don't know what really word to use here, but this format got exposed, I guess is the word you'd look at, in 2015 when Kyle Busch missed a third of the season and was able to come back and win the championship. That immediately told us that the system was flawed. And we have seen that 2015 was not the only time that we have seen this playoff system work as a flawed system. And this year was another example of that. But we'll talk more about that. Just to let everybody know, this will be a very opinionated episode. SterlingRider and I both have very high opinions of what's going on as far as NASCAR is concerned, and especially with this playoff format. So, but yeah, we did have 3 championship races this weekend. 4 if you count the ARCA West series. But I really don't, other than following William Sawalich, who's moving up, and Connor Zillage, that's moving up, and both of them moving into the Xfinity Series next year. Other than keeping up with them and stuff like that, I really have not kept up with the ARCA Series in quite a few years. Used to watch every race in the ARCA Series because it was an exciting series, but now it's not that exciting of a series. It's follow the leader. Usually whoever wins the pole or starts really like in the top 3, maybe top 4, is usually the person that wins the race. There's not a whole lot of passing. There's not a whole lot of strategy because of the way they do their pit stops. So just really haven't been entertained by ARCA. But there are some exciting drivers coming up from ARCA. I mentioned William Sawalich going to Joe Gibbs Racing. I believe. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. I can tell you that Connor Zillage has been confirmed to go to Junior Motorsports in the 88 car. So that is exciting to watch him. Man, he's been impressive. Actually, both of them have been pretty impressive in their Xfinity and truck starts this year. So we do, man, y'all stick with us and come back and watch our pre-show next year. As we preview the season, 2025 season, because we've got those 2 announced. We've got some others that have been announced that are moving up into the Xfinity Series. Those truck rides that they're vacating have not been announced yet. So who's going to fill those rides? Then we've got some cup seats that we're not really sure quite about yet right now. We don't even know if 2311 is going to be at the track next year. From what all of the, Bob Pockrass and Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck and several others reported from this weekend when they asked Denny Hamlin about 2311 next year, because they did lose the injunction for them to run as chartered teams was denied by the judge on Friday. So they asked Denny about 2311 next year, and he said it's to be determined. So that's a major situation going into 2025. They have appealed it up to the next. I don't know what the next level of that specific court system that they're going through is. I think it's the appeals court, but I could be wrong. But we'll just have to wait and see. So, when we do our 2025 pre-show, there's going to be a lot of stuff for us to talk about, and a lot of these, because there's also drivers in the Xfinity Series and in the Truck Series that have not made announcements for next year. One of those being Chandler Smith in the 81 Joe Gibbs racing car. He said he doesn't have a ride for 2025. We haven't heard about several of the trucks. We don't know anything about Thorsport. I would assume that since Ty Majeski just won the championship, he's probably locked into that team. We haven't heard who's taking Nick Sanchez's spot. We haven't heard who's taking Christian Eckes' spot. We do know that Corey Heim has re-signed with the 11 team next year. So there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up. But we've got a couple of races to end this season that we need to talk about.
Yeah. Like you said, there's a lot of unknown parts going on right now, which is very unusual for NASCAR. We normally have a couple things through the off season that kind of come up with drivers, but there's so much this time that there's going to be a lot of news during the off season there, and we may not get some of this news until right before we record for our preseason show. So
we don't even know the playoff format for next year because they talked about that last night after the Cup race. Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell addressed that. They are considering making changes to the playoff format next year.
Question is, are they good or bad? But we'll get into that later. But my biggest thing is the only thing we know about 2025 is the schedule and the whole charter agreement thing. We finally got that charter agreement, but with as you said, 2311 and Front Row did not like this charter agreement. They are suing NASCAR, but they're not being allowed to run as chartered teams while this hearing's in process. So like you said, we don't even know if 2311 will be running next year. I don't think Front Row has really said anything. They've been quiet. I think they've been letting 2311 do the talking just because it's Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, two big names in sports history. So I'm not sure what Front Row is thinking right now, but they're probably right there with 2311 in the same boat, would be my guess, since they haven't said anything. So,
well, I tell you what's most shocking to me on this whole 2311 Front Row Motorsports lawsuit situation is the fact that they had to ask for an injunction in the first place. Mm-hmm. Because why is NASCAR wanting to tell Michael Jordan, of all people, unless you agree to our standards, we don't want you? I mean, that's basically what NASCAR is saying. NASCAR is saying you do it our way, you play ball by our rules, or you take your ball and go home. Michael Jordan brings more than money to NASCAR. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan brings marketing. Michael Jordan brings fans. Michael Jordan brings businesses. I mean, who NASCAR? If NASCAR makes Michael Jordan mad enough where Michael Jordan does take his ball and go home, NASCAR is going to lose not just Michael Jordan fans, not just the fans that Michael Jordan brought in with him, but they're going to anger a lot of fans that have been fans for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. Because they simply told the greatest player in the history of basketball that this is our court and we don't want you here.
Which is a big no-no, especially when it comes to Michael Jordan. I mean, we see what has happened when other players have talked a big game to him, and then he went out and dropped 60 on their heads.
Right.
So I would agree. This would be a huge loss to NASCAR. They'd lose fans. old and new, especially. They'd make some old, fans very mad. I know I'd be one of them. I wouldn't be happy with it. You're losing marketing. You're losing businesses. You're losing two race teams, also. So, I know
Possibly
it's
three.
possibly three because there were talks that they were going to extend. So what is NASCAR doing? Why are they blowing this? What are they thinking?
And here's what NASCAR don't seem to understand. Okay, they just signed a multi-billion, I think it was in the neighborhood of $10 billion TV contract. All right. And
Wow.
that TV contract goes over the next, I believe it's 7 to 10 years. I can't remember exactly how long it is, which is what was the holdup in this whole charter agreement. Okay.
Hmm.
That's $7 billion, to $7 to $10 billion. Do they not realize that Jordan's brand makes that much in a year?
Probably not, but he
Okay.
does.
If they want to, I mean, Michael Jordan, the thing about Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan has the money that if he chose to, he could make NASCAR get to the point to where they have no money where he can just swoop in and buy them. Okay, if he really wanted to push, I don't think he would. I don't think that's the goal here. Um, but Michael Jordan could hold out long enough to where NASCAR spends all their money in court to where he could just turn around and buy them
Hmm.
because he makes more money in a year than they are going to make in the next 10 years with this TV contract.
Hmm.
So you cannot tell somebody with those kind of resources, we don't want you here. I mean, they're basically throwing a championship caliber team
Hmm.
with what I believe two championship caliber drivers, a
Hmm.
championship caliber owner, and then we've got Michael Jordan that has championships.
Yep.
And yes, they're in basketball, but a championship is a championship.
Agreed.
Um, they're telling them that this is our court. You play ball by our rules. We're not going to adjust the rules whatsoever, or we don't want you. Knowing, not understanding the resources that are behind Michael Jordan. And I don't know if Michael Jordan would do that. I mean, that's his money, his personal money. I don't know if he would want to do that for a long extended period of time, but he could if he wanted to.
Yep.
Um, and so it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out. Personally, I hope that 2311 and Front Row Motorsports take NASCAR to court and completely wipe the mat with them.
Hmm.
I hope they get everything that they've been asking for. I hope that uh, NASCAR realizes that some of the decision makers that they have need to go. And uh, we'll get more into that when we talk about the playoff formats, who I think that needs to be. But and then also some of the situations and penalties for Martinsville. There's somebody that I think needs to go on that merit as well too. But let's get to talking about the races. We got to go back to Martinsville because we didn't cover Martinsville in the last one.
No, we did
Um,
not.
but Martinsville was an interesting weekend, especially the Cup race with Ryan Blaney winning was not a big surprise.
No.
Um, the truck race with Christian Eckes winning was not a big surprise. The only
Mm-mm.
surprise to me that came out of the truck race was Christian Eckes dominated that race, but because of pit strategy, the 17 of Taylor Gray got up there and was giving him, kind of a run for his money. And he chose to bump because if Taylor Gray would have won that race, Taylor Gray would have went on to compete for the championship at Phoenix,
Yep.
and Ty Majeski would not have.
Hmm.
Um, which Taylor really wasn't there all day at Phoenix. But Ty Majeski makes it into the final four. Christian Eckes wins the race. Of course, there's a big, um, interesting scene after the race where Taylor Gray goes to victory lane and has some very wild words for Christian Eckes. I thought that was kind of interesting to see. But all in all, I mean, the Martinsville truck race compared to years past was tame.
Yeah, which is shocking. Being
Right?
Martinsville, Martinsville is always it's congested. It's such a small track. It's the paperclip. All three series, you're hitting each other. Period. It's short track racing, true short track racing. And you're gonna have temper tantrums. You're gonna have some flare ups between drivers. And we saw that with trucks for sure. With Gray, which I've and the whole time I've watched NASCAR, I've never seen someone come and acknowledge the winner in victory lane from a temper tantrum. So that's a new one on me. But the truck race for it being trucks, knowing how those guys drive because they're pretty aggressive, for being young. I mean, they're talented, but their experience with aggressiveness is never helps them out. So watching that truck race was definitely a big surprise to see how tamed, as you said, it was for it being the truck series.
So, but it was. I thought it was a good race. And again, Christian did get out of the truck, and he said, "Look, I'm paid to win races," and that's what he should have said. I mean, that is literally what I mean. That's what these drivers get paid to do. They get paid to win races and win championships. And he did what he thought was best for him. He did not have to win that race. He was locked in on points to the championship 4, but he gets paid to win races. Or a lot of these, if we go to the truck series and the Xfinity series, a lot of these drivers pay their team owners to win races, because they're having to pay for pay to play, so to speak. So, but really good racing at Martinsville in the truck race, surprisingly. The Xfinity race, though, for the most part, was tame. And I want to I'll go back to talk about Christian Eckes. There was a lot of people that were very hard on him for bumping Taylor Gray out of the way and also bumping Ben Rhodes out of the way. I didn't see him do anything wrong. Anything that's not been done on a short track before. It's always been a bump and run thing. He didn't put anybody in the wall. He didn't wreck anybody. He just pushed them up out of the groove. That's short track racing. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Yep. Exactly. I would agree.
But anyway, on to the Xfinity race at Martinsville. That had a little bit more, not necessarily drama, because you had AJ Allmendinger that was locked in from Las Vegas. You had Austin Hill that was locked in from winning at Homestead, which, that we talked about that in the last episode. That was kind of a surprise because that's not Austin Hill's type of track. You had Justin Allgaier that, pretty much all he had to do was have a good day and point his way in. But then you had Cole Custer and Chandler Smith and Sammy Smith and who was the other one? Sheldon Creed. I believe that were vying for you really had 5 drivers going for one spot. And there was one point in the race where Chandler Smith roughed up Cole Custer a little bit, and Cole Custer decided to line up behind him on a late race restart. Just for the sole purpose, I see you smiling about that. Just for the sole purpose of pushing him down into turn 1 where he wouldn't make the turn.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
That at that point, it was down to really them. I mean, he almost gave Sammy Smith the win. If Eric Amarola hadn't been there to take the win, Sammy Smith would have, which would have eliminated him and then really made him look stupid. But
Yep.
it was a Cole Custer move. We've seen Cole. They don't call him Stone Cold Cole for no reason. Cole Custer's one of those guys that you don't mess with on the track, and Chandler Smith made him mad, and he said it over the radio. He says, "I'm going to line up behind him," and knowing what he was going to do, and it worked, and got him into the championship 4. But after the race, you saw what happened after the race, right?
Yeah, I saw. I saw. I did indeed see. So
okay, obviously Chandler Smith has not watched Cole Custer's career highlights, because Cole Custer has been known to throw a few haymakers. He's been known to tackle some people.
Yeah.
So
I was kind of shocked at how Cole reacted. He didn't really do anything. He just kind of stood there for a second and then walked away. And then, you could see him saying some words. I'm not sure what he was saying, but because I'm not.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
not
but
really...
the look on his face when you see the camera shot off at the side, and you see Chandler Smith's hand in the air. Cole has a smile on his face. Like, what was that? A mosquito bite?
I mean, well, as you said, we've seen Cole do some pretty gnarly things when it comes to some pit road tantrum fights. So to him, that may have been literally nothing.
Well, and you also have to think Cole Custer, one of his sponsors this year, has been WWE's NXT brand, because they're both on the Xfinity, and NXT are both now on the CW. So he has actually been in the ring with professional wrestlers. So is this really the guy that you want to give? Hey, and you notice nobody stepped in between them until actually the punch was, slap. It really wasn't a punch.
It looked like a slap. It looked straight up like a slap. It looked like Chandler just went, eh. That's what it looked like to me. So, yeah, I wouldn't get in between that either.
but here's the messed up part about it. Okay, they fined Chandler Smith for that. Which NASCAR has been consistent with over the past couple years over physicality on pit road. But I forget who it was. I think it was I can't remember who it was. It might have been Dale Jr. on Dale Jr. Download, was asking if the penalty was for the slap or for the lack of force behind the slap. Which I thought was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. I
think if I want to say that was Dale Jr. on last week's episode on Wednesday when he had the 4 Xfinity Championship drivers on the podcast. I want to say that was when that was brought up. So that's a pretty funny way to question it.
That sounds like something Junior would say too. Knowing him, just for some laughs, of course. But yeah, I don't know. That's a great question though.
So as I mentioned, Eric Amarola won that race at Martinsville, which put the 20 car into the championship owners final 4. So with the champ 4 was Justin Allgaier, Austin Hill, AJ Allmendinger, and Cole Custer. The champ 4 on the owner side was the same guys minus Cole Custer plus the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. So that kind of had, Eric Almirola winning that race really kind of did. And the reason the Owners Championship is important, for anybody that doesn't know, is because in truck and in truck and Xfinity, the money, the purse for the championship purse is split evenly between driver and owners championships. All right, in the Cup Series, the money is specifically on the owner's side. Um, so on the Cup side, but it's split evenly in the other two series. So it's kind of a big deal to be in that owners championship, because that's where half of your money is going to come from if you're able to win the championship, or half the money you're going to lose if your driver wins the championship, but your car doesn't win the championship. So in the lower series. So, but yeah, it was and it was still a fairly tame race in the Xfinity series compared to the past few years at Martinsville, in the Xfinity series.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, then we had a Cup race. Let's talk about the Cup race. Already mentioned Ryan Blaney winning. Not a really big surprise. Ryan Blaney has been very fast at Martinsville the past couple years. He's won this race back to back to get into the championship four. Must wins both times.
Yep.
The interesting part, and here comes our first group of opinions here, just to let everybody know, was what happened during the last 20, 30, really the last 20 laps of the race. All right. You've got William Byron, who's lost some positions, and he's back to sixth place. And you have Austin Dillon behind him, who is not wanting to pass him. Now, I've heard an interview with Austin, and Austin point blank said, look, all I was told was to be aware of the situation. It was up to me whether I passed him or not. He says, but, one of these days I may need a favor from somebody. And, if I take a Chevrolet teammate out of the championship, down the road, I need him to push me to a win. He may not push me to a win because I kept him from winning the championship. So I just did what I felt was best for my team. Ross Chastain, when he was asked about it, because Ross and Austin Dillon rode side by side for, about 15, 16 laps behind the 24 car. And Ross wouldn't even mention it. I mean, he said, no comment, basically, is what he said, which, I understand that. But they rode behind, and William was able to get into the playoffs because of what they called a Chevy blockade behind him. What drivers called a Chevy blockade behind him. In the meantime, Bubba Wallace falls off the lead lap and immediately says he has a tire going down. They're letting him know that Christopher Bell is out by 1 point. If Christopher Bell ties, Christopher Bell has the tiebreaker. So Bubba falls back and Christopher Bell passes him. But in the process of doing so, Christopher Bell proceeds to hit the wall and then gas it up and continue to ride the wall. And at the end of the race, William Byron and Christopher Bell was essentially tied, which put Christopher Bell in the final four. But NASCAR deemed that they were going to review that. And they came out after 27 minutes, which, was a long time.
Yeah.
And said that Christopher Bell had caused a safety violation by riding the wall, because when Ross Chastain did it in 2022, NASCAR basically came out and said, don't do it. If you do it, we're going to penalize you.
Yep.
So that dropped him to the last car on the lead lap. Actually, the last car 1 lap down, which cost him 4 points, which put William Byron back in the championship. Um, Tuesday, NASCAR came out and fined the 3 team, the 1 team, and the 23 team $100,000 per team, $100,000 per driver. I believe it was 50 points, driver and owner points. I just don't quote me on that, but I believe that was it. And also suspended their crew chiefs and competition directors from Phoenix. Um, and here's my problem with that. Okay, um, NASCAR said they tore down the 23 car after the race to see if there was anything wrong. Said they didn't find anything wrong. Denny Hamlin said that Bubba's right front tire was basically gone. I think it was the right front, was basically gone, and he was just trying to ride it around. If you listen to Denny Hamlin's podcast, they have some really good explanation. Also, Door Bumper Clear with Freddie Kraft, they have really good explanation of Bubba being forced up high and riding in the marbles, and that was what was causing his issues. But really, there's no way to prove or disprove that they were lying. The 3 and the 1, there was some radio communications where the teams were communicating to their drivers, and crew chief and spotters were communicating back and forth about, hey, he's 1 point to the good, take care of him. They weren't told not to pass. They were just said, here's the situation, do what you think is best, is basically what they were told. And NASCAR deemed to penalize them. The problem with this is, in my opinion, is manufacturers have been doing this since the dawn of time.
Mm-hmm.
Manufacturers have blocked for manufacturers' teammates. Teammates have blocked for teammates. Teammates have wrecked other people for teammates. We've seen this happen. I've watched a lot of races. I've been watching races since the late 1980s, early 1990s. I have seen this happen multiple times, many times. A car gets a lap down, and they block for their teammate. We go back to 2021, I believe it was, when Chase Elliott blocked Kevin Harvick he was lapped down and he blocked Harvick for multiple laps until Kyle Larson was able to pass him. NASCAR didn't penalize Chase. We saw in 2022, Ryan Blaney was basically a blocker for Joey Logano at Phoenix in the championship race. For Joey to win that championship. Did NASCAR penalize Ryan Blaney? No. This penalty is strictly, and it's obvious that this penalty came from social media influence of fans that were just ticked off because Chevrolet did what they did, and they're not Chevrolet fans, or they're not Austin Dillon fans, or they're not Ross Chastain fans. So they throw this big fit on social media, and NASCAR has to react.
The one time NASCAR listens to the fans.
Right?
No, I really, I think the penalties, as you said, the penalties were not needed. These are things we've seen in the past between teammates, between manufacturing teammates. This is things we do, they do in the races, period. Especially after listening to communications, it was here's a situation, be aware, your choice, your decision. That was a driver decision, not a team decision, not a influenced decision. That was a you take the choice. Here's your options. You pick the choice. And with what Austin Dillon said, respect. Because you know what? If I was William Byron and he was in front of me, on, a racetrack that, final lap, and there's no way I can pass him, I'll push him. Because he's a manufacturer teammate and he did that for me at Martinsville. That's just my opinion as of, a view of respect and of, gratitude. That, yeah, you could have passed me, but you chose not to because of being a manufacturer teammate that may need my help in the future. Same thing with Ross, even though he didn't have any comments on it. I would say he had the same mindset, especially with his past aggressiveness toward other drivers. Although he has matured a lot, it still helps with small things like this. It still helps to help gain that respect and possibly have that help down the line as well. So I think the penalties there are definitely uncalled for, in my opinion. The 23, also that one with what Denny Hamlin said, the right front, because I agree, I think it was a right front. Just not being there, probably on his last, that was probably his last set of tires. If he was riding it around that long, and never pitted, I think, that was just another bad call. That's just my opinions on it. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think Christopher Bell would have been okay had he bounced off the wall, let off the gas, and kept going. But he chose, when he hit the wall, he chose to grab gear and, shift up and hit the gas.
Yep.
And that's why they called it a safety violation, which they were perfectly clear. I mean, they got that one 100% right. They were perfectly clear in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think these penalties, like I said, were purely a social media pressure situation. We've seen that a lot lately. Over the past 5 or 6 years, where social media has influenced penalties. But Elton Sawyer is I believe he's competition director for the Cup Series, and he's a former driver, and he is not what I would call a good decision maker, because he allows social media to influence decisions. And I just think that if you're going to allow social media to influence your decision, then maybe you need to look at finding something else to do, because especially if social media is wrong. Because let's say Austin Dillon, with the one car, Ross Chastain coming up, decided he needed to go. And his choices are, I ride behind William Byron. Maybe Ross passes me, maybe he doesn't. Or I try to pass William, and in the process of passing William, I wreck him. Or I wreck myself and bring out a caution.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then Ross Chastain gets there, and when you watch the in-car, Ross's in-car, or Austin's in-car even, you see Ross get his nose up alongside William coming off the corner, and William moves up to block, and Ross lets off. His choices are, keep my nose there, and I'm going to put William and I both out of the race, because William's going to come up, clear himself, and he's going to hit my nose, and he's going to go across my nose into the wall, and guess what? I'm going to be right into it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, Austin's running 7th. Ross Chastain is running 8th. They're switching that spot back and forth, riding beside each other. Their choices are, I push the situation and possibly take myself out of the race, or I sit here and take, in Austin's place, one of his best finishing positions of the year. Ross is also, he's trying to be up there. He wants to be 17th in points. He takes himself out of that race.
Yep.
So I don't think NASCAR. I think they're using the social media pressure a little too much to make decisions that just are what racers have done since racing has started. Since teammate racing has started. I mean, go back to the tandem days, all right? When they were doing tandem at Talladega and Daytona, and they were doing the tandem racing. Why didn't NASCAR penalize the car that was pushing? Because he could have pulled out and passed the person he was pushing. Why didn't they penalize him? He wasn't going 100%. So it's just they're making decisions. Elton Sawyer is making decisions that just do not make sense in a lot of ways in these situations, and it's very bothersome to see these decisions being made.
Yep, I would agree. The social media influence, of course, over the years has increased, and that needs to go out the window. Along with,
if they're going to listen to social media influence, listen to all social media influence. Listen to the fact that fans are calling for a change in format. That fans are calling for more horsepower. That fans are calling for less commercial interruptions, even more side-by-side commercials than commercial interruptions. Listen to all of the demands of the fans, not just the penalty, not just the negative penalty side of it. Listen to all the things that we as the fans are talking about. And I'll even throw in there the door numbers, because even Martin got in on this one not too long ago. Dale Jr. has been very vocal that he does not like the door number placement. Man, if you're not gonna listen to Dale Jr. on door number placement, don't listen to fans on penalties.
Yep, I would second that. Even with Martin getting involved with the door placement, opinion, how are you not going to listen to two, Dale Jr. being, the most popular and Truex being extremely popular among the fans? How are you not going to listen to these two?
Not Truex, Mark Martin.
Oh, excuse me, Mark Martin. Apologies.
But I mean, one of the most respected guys ever to race in NASCAR. I mean,
yeah.
So we've got our championship 4. We've got Tyler Reddick, one at Homestead. We've got Joey Logano, one at Las Vegas. We've got Ryan Blaney, one at Martinsville, and we've got William Byron, who qualified in on points. The one that I didn't have in my final 4 was Ryan Blaney. I didn't see him. I thought you go back to the spring, I thought Hendrick Motorsports was so strong at Martinsville. I didn't think Blaney was going to be able to pull it off. But man, what a drive he had that last run of the race. I mean, man, what a drive.
Yep. Hendrick showed strength at the beginning of the race for sure. We still had, the 5, 24, and the 9 up front. But there toward the final stretches, we really only had the 9. The 5 had kind of fallen back. The 24 had fallen back a couple spots. So we really only had the 9 up there. And then here comes the 12. Ryan Blaney pushing ahead. So really strong run on that last stretch of the race for him. I'm happy that he had, he was able to get in. We get to see him actually defend the title at Phoenix. We haven't seen that in a while. But I was also kind of mad because I'm a Chase Elliott fan, and he came up one spot short. I'm going to just be honest with you. That sucked. But if I were to have somebody in his spot, I'd pick Ryan Blaney because I see Ryan as a good championship contender either way. So that's just my opinion here. But,
So anyway, that gets us to the Truck Series at Phoenix. um, which again, like Martinsville, was a surprisingly clean race. We did have a few um, incidences, but it's you expect them in these races. But as far as the leaders up front, it was a really, really clean, good race. I was very impressed by all of the playoff drivers. They all ran. They all ran really well all night long. They raced each other cleanly. There wasn't the Hocevar-Heim run-ins like we had last year. It was an enjoyable race, and it went by really, really quick because there weren't that many incidences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very very clean race for trucks for being championship. A lot of good racing as well. Until Majeski kind of pulled away from Heim. But we were seeing some good racing between Majeski and Heim there at up at the front of the pack. So it was a good race. I would agree with that.
Yeah, and there was at one point in time where Christian Eckes and Grant Enfinger took tires and restarted 15th and 16th and came back up through the field.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really impressive run. But I got to tell you, Ty Majeski won the race. Ty Majeski dominated the race. Let's just be honest about it. Won the race, won the championship. Not a big surprise. Ty's been really, really good over the past couple years. He's proven that he belongs in this series. But I got to tell you who I'm impressed with. Okay, Corey Heim, he's run well the past couple years. Christian Eckes, he's run really well the past couple years. I am really impressed with Grant Enfinger and what this team has been able to do. This team has been around for a while, but they have not been competitive. They've not been championship caliber. They've been mid to backpack, a mid to backpack team, even almost a starting park at one point, I believe. And here they are. Grant Enfinger signs on. He brings a little bit of money with him with Champion, and comes out. They win 2 races in a row. Mm-hmm. Well, first off, they make the playoffs. That's impressive in and of itself. Mm-hmm. Then they win 2 races in the final round to lock into the Final Four. And then they go out in the Final Four, and yes, they finished 4th. But they were there, and they showed up, and everybody knows that they were there, and they showed up. They weren't a 15th place team in the championship race. I mean, Grant has taken this team, put them on his back, and led them to be a championship contender, and that's impressive.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely agree. Impressive to see a team, not known for being in the playoffs or especially in the championship 4. Grant Enfinger really took that and said, "I can get this done. Just give me the wheel." And he took that wheel and he drove his butt off and ended up in championship 4 and contended. Wasn't able to get it done, but still, we can now see what this team can do at this point. So, which is a huge boost for the team for sure.
And I definitely think it's going to bring has brought some notoriety to that team. It has a potential to bring sponsorship to that team. Mm-hmm. Because they're literally a championship contending team.
Yep.
And which the more championship contending teams that we add to the Truck and Xfinity series, because with the Cup series, you can go out there and there's 20 people, 20 to 25 guys that can win any given weekend. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cup or Truck and Xfinity, 8 to 10 guys maybe that can win at any given track, any given weekend. Okay. So the more championship caliber teams that we can add to these series, it just makes the series deeper and makes the playoffs even more, because in the truck series they only take 10, in the Xfinity series they take 12. Okay, and so the deeper we can make these teams, the better the racing is going to be. The less bullcrap racing and, well, wrecking is not racing, folks. Rubbing is racing. Bump and run is racing. Wrecking is not racing. But the wrecking, the more championship caliber teams that we have, the less of that bullcrap wrecking we're going to get. And this season showed that in a lot of ways. In the truck series, especially.
Definitely, yes. I would agree with that.
So I do want to point out our first flaw in the system. Corey Heim had the most wins with 6 wins. And by the way, I want to thank Trey Ryan for putting this stuff together. If you want stats on any of the top 3 series, go and check Trey Ryan out on X. This is where a lot of this information comes from. He compiles these really good season summaries. And I'm looking at his Cross and Truck Series summary right here. Corey Heim had 6 wins. Second place was Ty Majeski with 4. But listen to this, okay? Most top 5s, Christian Eckes with 15. Top 10s, Christian Eckes with 22. Top 15s, Christian Eckes with 22. Christian Eckes had an average running finishing position in 2024 of 5.39. That has not happened since 1996. I think it was 96 or 98 in the truck series. Okay. That kind of exposes this championship, because Christian Eckes would have pretty much ran away with the championship in the old format. You know, but it's just shows you how broken this system is, especially when Christian Eckes outscored everybody in points scored in the playoffs with 327, with averaging running position in the playoffs of 4.11. And an average finishing position of 4.14 in the playoffs. You go back to even the 10 race chase that they used to do, where Jimmy Johnson won all his championships. Christian Eckes by far would have been hands down, ran away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Highest average running position, highest average finishing position, highest average points scored for the season. So it's just, it's not that great. It's a broken system.
Yep.
And it's been exposed.
Yep.
So anyway, on to the Xfinity race. Man, I watched the Xfinity race last night. I didn't get to watch it Saturday, but I watched it last night after the Cup race. And all 4 drivers at one point had an opportunity to win this championship. And all 4 drivers, one in particular, Justin Allgaier, gave it away multiple times over the weekend.
Yep.
Justin Allgaier, he wrecks in practice, has to go to a backup car, starts dead last on the field. Okay. Works his way up to 6th. 5th or 6th, I can't remember exactly what. Tries to go 3 wide. It gets his tire cut down at the end of, was it stage 1?
Was it stage 1?
I want to say it was the end of stage 1.
I think it was stage 1.
Anyway, so that put him behind. Now he's a set of tires down from everybody else. Cole Custer, he's running up front, and his car's not as fast. AJ Allmendinger's car is not that great. Austin Hill, he's running in the top 5, but Riley Herbst is running away with this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Last official race for Stewart-Haas Racing in the Xfinity Series, they've got Riley Herbst dominating the race. Cole Custer in a shot for the championship. So impressive by them. That tells me that the drivers didn't quit, the engineers didn't quit, the crew chiefs didn't quit, the crew members didn't quit. When they announced that the team was closing, all these guys could have said, well, you know what, you're going to pay me for the end of the year. We'll just, it's not worth us giving 100%. We'll just do what we do and go on.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't quit. I mean, they're putting championship caliber cars on the track. But then Justin Allgaier, he rebounds from his tire going down, only to have a restart violation, which is a pass-through penalty. On his pass-through penalty, he compounds that by speeding, gets himself a lap down, and at this point, I don't know about you, but at this point, I'm just kind of like, well, looks like Cole Custer or Austin Hill is going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Waiting, AJ was a 10th place car pretty much all night. I mean, it really didn't. Once he got to 10th, he started in the rear of the field too, but once he got to 10th, 12th, he kind of stalled out. But Justin Allgaier got up in the top 5, and then, well, pit stops seem to work out, and the caution comes out just at the right time for Justin Allgaier to get back on the lead lap.
Yep.
And with the amount of cars one lap down, he restarts 12th. And, so then he's able to work his way back up. Another caution comes out. At this point, I think I texted you and I was like, wow, it would be that the car that's in, like, would I say 1,000th, like 110th place or something like that, has to cause a caution. And of course that happened in the Cup Series too, but we'll talk about that here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, it gets Justin to where he's up front. He's back up there. As a matter of fact, you had Austin Hill, Cole Custer, Justin Allgaier lined up nose to tail on the outside row on the restart.
Mm-hmm.
And what an amazing restart Justin Allgaier got, but also what a disastrous restart the 21 of Austin Hill had, which caused Cole Custer to lose spots because Austin was restarting on older tires. Mm-hmm. I think he took right side tires and they were scuffs.
Yep.
So they weren't even new tires. So he's trying to keep Cole from passing him. Justin goes 3 wide through the middle and just passes all of them. Yep. Gets up to second place, and another caution comes out.
Yep.
So you've got Jesse Love and Justin Allgaier. They're going to start on the front row. Allgaier asks if Jesse would be happy to give up the top, which Jesse didn't, because Jesse wants to win the race. Yep. And the best starts have been coming from the top really all weekend. Mm-hmm. And Justin is able to get the lead with some contact, with Riley Herbst and Jesse Love. And, of course, this is a green-white checkered, and is able to hold off everybody but Riley Herbst, which, again, he dominated the race. So
he did.
And, they were only racing for a race win, and the championship is more important than the race win. So, now, if Riley had been in the Final Four, you can bet Justin would have raced him a little bit harder there.
Definitely.
Than what he did. But Riley Herbst wins the race. Justin Allgaier, in his 7th playoff attempt, or 7th Final Four attempt, is able to finally win a NASCAR Xfinity Series championship, the 4th Xfinity Series championship for Junior Motorsports, and the first Xfinity championship for Junior Motorsports for a car that doesn't have the number 9 on the side.
Yep, that is true. Um, no, I mean Justin's been with Dale Jr. For 14. This is his 14th season. As you said, 7 playoffs run. Only a select few have been championship runs. Actually, championship 4. And then he goes out, all sorts of trouble thrown his way. A couple of them not on him. The pit road penalty one and the restart one on him, which I'm gonna get into that restart one in a minute. I tweeted about that. But he still goes out and he gets that lucky break with the caution for the lucky dog, gets back in the lead lap and just takes it. He's been fighting for this one for a while. Hey, my pick one for Xfinity. Because I mean he was dominating Phoenix earlier this season, the first race in Phoenix. But tire goes down, he goes backwards into a wall,
Right.
takes him out. So he had some redemption going on, which during the race didn't look like was gonna happen. But like I said, lucky dog comes out. But Justin deserves this, even though it's the way the playoff format is. I think he deserves this. He should have had one a long time ago, in my opinion. So big job to the 17. Big job to Justin sticking with it and being patient. Big job to Dale Jr. being patient with him and continuing to let him run that 7 car. I say deserved.
Yeah, I mean he's worked really hard for this, and you got to think he's been with Junior Motorsports during most of their championships. I don't think he was with them yet in 2014. I think that came later, but when they won with Chase Elliott in 2014, he wasn't with the team yet. But you had Chase Elliott win in the 9 car. Then in 2017, you had William Byron win in the 9 car. In 2018, Tyler Reddick won in the 9 car. And by that time, Justin was with this team. And Justin is competing against these guys for championships, but he just can't ever seem to cross that finish line first. He's lost, championships to Chase Briscoe. He's lost championships to Cole Custer. And that he had to be getting frustrated. And you can almost look at Denny Hamlin the same way too. All these times in the championship, with championship opportunity and not making it, either not making the final 4 or getting to the final 4 and having something happen that keeps you from winning the championship, something out of your control. The wreck, the practice wreck, Justin had no control over that. There was oil on the track. He lost it. He wrecked. Okay. The flat tire. Maybe he was a little impatient there and went 3 wide and kind of put himself in a situation. But then you get to the restart penalty. You get to the speeding penalty. Those are things within Justin's control. So he tried. Somebody on Twitter, on the Couch Racer site, I can't remember if it was Couch Racer themselves or somebody commented, said that looks like Justin went and upped the difficulty to expert or something like that, or to up the difficulty, and wanted to start in the back, just to show how good he really was. But him and his team had every reason to throw in the towel. They wrecked on Saturday. They were starting dead last. Okay, they could have given up hope then. The flat tire. Oh, now we're down a set of tires. We're never going to catch up. Give up hope. The restart penalty, speeding penalty. We're a lap down. Just get what you can get. Okay, no, they were encouraged. They were telling Justin, "Go get them. Keep going. Keep pushing. We can still win this thing."
Mm-hmm.
And they did win it. And I got to tell you, um, the celebration with his mom and his dad and his daughters and his wife and Dale Jr. and his sponsor, the owner of his sponsor Brant, and all of his crew guys and all the people that came to Victory Lane and all the cars that came up beside him on the cool down lap to congratulate him. That's what you want to see
Yep.
from these drivers. That's what you want to see from the competitors. Um, you know, when he got out of the car, the fans were loud, and it was a very popular championship win.
Mm-hmm.
And so, congratulations to Justin. We've got some family that knows Justin and his family, so that's a wonderful thing. Justin's from my neck of the woods up in Illinois. Congratulations to Justin. Glad he's finally got that ring. Glad he's finally got that trophy. Dale Jr. Man, this was hilarious. Dale Jr. would not put that championship flag down. I mean, he
No.
carried it into the media center. He had it on the championship stage. I mean, he might show up with it at the banquet.
I could see him doing that too.
Uh, He's probably got it. Let's see. Today's Monday. So when he records the Dale Jr. download tomorrow, he'll probably have it in studio with him. Um,
Probably.
but again, Dale Jr. when he when Chance 2 broke up and he left DEI, Dale Jr. could have said, "I'm going to drive, and that's it. I'm going to collect my money, and when I'm done, I'm done." He could have very well done that, and we've seen a lot of drivers do that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they've taken their money when they retired. They retired. They left the sport. Okay, Dale Jr. even before he left the DEI was in the process of starting Junior Motorsports, and they started out with drivers that nobody'd ever heard of,
Mm-hmm.
and they struggled. Now they had a major sponsor with the U.S. Navy, but they struggled. Then they got Brad Keselowski in their cars, and they started making some improvement. And Brad started winning races, and Brad was able to get himself into a cup ride. And, Hendrick Motorsports started seeing the potential of using Junior Motorsports as a development program, and not just for drivers, but for crew guys and crew chiefs. A lot of the crew chiefs that they have in the Cup Series came up through Junior Motorsports.
Yep.
Dale Jr. has taken Junior Motorsports, and he's won 4 Xfinity championships now. And he continues to give back to the sport in ways that he doesn't have to. And he's giving these drivers. He gave Chase Elliott a start to boost him into the Cup Series. William Byron, he boosted into the Cup Series. Well, we'll go back to Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski was the first one. And then how many people has Brad brought through his system from his truck team, has come up through his truck team and went to Penske through or Roush through the Ford program, and then on in. I mean, Tyler Reddick is one of those as well.
Mm-hmm.
William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Justin Allgaier, Elliott Sadler, Noah Gragson, Noah won a lot of races for Junior Motorsports.
Oh yeah.
Lots of drivers and lots of crew guys that Dale Jr. has given an opportunity for, that without Dale Jr., that opportunity may not have been there. We may not have the drivers, the crew guys, or the crew chiefs that we have in the Cup Series without Junior Motorsports. So anytime Dale Jr. is able to get rewarded, Dale and his sister Kelly are able to get rewarded for what they're doing to give back to the sport. It's an awesome thing to see. So seeing him run around with that flag is just that was awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great.
No, I would definitely agree. It was amazing to see how happy he was. He was probably the happiest, second happiest to Justin, of course, winning that championship, and he was not afraid to show that, especially with carrying that flag around. Because even when he went into the media center, he accidentally hit it on the door frame. Saw a little video clips of that on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. But still, just seeing how happy he was carrying that flag around, you know it meant a lot to him for sure. So yeah.
And he was not letting that go.
Nope. He had a grip on that thing.
But that was great to watch. So congratulations to Dale Jr. and Justin Allgaier and that whole bunch. So now we get to the Cup race on Sunday. Feel good story of the weekend. Martin Truex Jr. making his 800th start in NASCAR, wins the pole for his final race. Now Trey Ryan breaks this down. He had 692 Cup starts, 104 Xfinity starts, which he won a lot of Xfinity races, and 3 Truck Series starts. Man, what a way to make a mark on going out. Now this I read some of Trey's stats on Martin going back just to 2014 when he started with Furniture Row Racing. 32 wins. He's tied for the 3rd most. 7th in top 5s. 6th in top 10s. 2nd in laps led. And he's tied for 2nd with lead lap finishes. And with what Martin has done in his career, 2017 champion. And of course, you and I have been fans of Martin for a lot of years. I go all the way back to the Chance 2 with the number 8 car in the Xfinity Series with Martin. Even before that, he drove the 81 in some races here and there for Chance 2. 2-time Xfinity Series champion, 1-time Cup Series champion. He's won the Coke 600. He's won the Darlington Southern 500. He's won. He did not win at the Brickyard. He did not win at Daytona. He's not done at Daytona. Supposed to be running the Daytona 500, so he still has a chance. He did come within. He was like that close to winning the Daytona 500 back in I think it was 2016.
Something like that. Yep.
Matt Kenseth kind of screwed that up for him.
Yeah.
But man, what a career and what a way to go out, starting your last race on the pole.
Yep. I know. I would agree. Big moment for Martin to show up. He's like, even though I'm hanging up the helmet and the gloves and the race suit, I'm still here to compete. I can still compete. Which I kind of wish Harvick would have been able to do that, but I think equipment resources at the time were kind of with how Stewart-Haas is now closing, he wasn't quite able to do that. But amazing to see Martin get a nice way to his own way to say goodbye. Of course, I mean, he's not done. It's just a full time. He's done full time. I'm gonna miss seeing him racing every single week. That was a big, when I was really starting to get in, he was one of, he was like the, 2017 champion. It was only my 2nd season of watching NASCAR, full season. And so it's a big moment for me. He's a big part of how I'm into NASCAR. So seeing him step away is very sad to me. But I know he'll continue to show his face multiple times, and either just to be there or a few races. He'll stick in like he's sticking into the 500 next season. Yeah, hats off to him. As I said, great race car driver and definitely a future Hall of Famer. I would say so.
Absolutely. But you also mentioned Stewart-Haas in there. It was their last race as Stewart-Haas Racing. They're being rebranded as Haas Factory Team next year. They're going to have one Cup car, two Xfinity cars. It's really sad to see them go. I was a big fan of theirs when they first went when Tony Stewart first went over there. They rebranded the team Stewart Haas Racing from Haas CNC Racing. They had the 14 with Stewart, the 39 with Ryan Newman. Wasn't really a big Ryan Newman fan, but I was a huge Tony Stewart fan. Was really disappointed when JGR went to because I was a JGR fan too until they went to Toyota and hired Kyle Busch. So because I was a Denny Hamlin fan until they went to Toyota. I was a Tony Stewart fan until they went to Toyota because I was a Chevrolet fan. So when they went to Toyota, we lost Tony. Tony was in a Toyota for 1 year and was not happy with that. So he signed with Stewart Haas, with Haas to become 50% owner of Stewart Haas Racing. They started in 2009. They started right off the bat winning races. They won the championship in 2011. 2014, Kevin Harvick goes over there. They added Kurt Busch to the mix. They had Tony and Kurt and Kevin and Danica Patrick, which, she was there for a few years. Really wasn't beneficial to the team outside of bringing in some money in. But they go out with Kevin Harvick in 2014 and win his first championship, their second championship as a team. Perennial championship contenders all the way up until even 2021. Struggled. The struggles kind of started at the end of 2020 when Tony got mad at Ford because Ford wouldn't let him sign Kyle Larson, and Kyle Larson signed with Hendrick Motorsports and Chevrolet.
Yeah.
That started the problem. NASCAR not informing Tony that Eldora, a racetrack that he owns, was not going to be on the 2021 truck schedule, didn't help matters none. And then, he kind of lost. I mean, Tony lost interest. He got married. He started a NHRA team with his wife, and he's starting a family. So he's got things that are taking priority. So, but it's sad to see this team go out. And I'll tell you what's really sad to see. They weren't mentioned hardly at all in the broadcast yesterday.
Nope.
They have fallen that far that they weren't not hardly mentioned on the broadcast. They mentioned it, but it was like just in passing.
Yep. I mean, it's a once champion caliber team, championship racing, was there multiple times throughout the playoffs, especially with Harvick, and then started kind of having a downfall, which I mean, I understand Tony losing interest with starting his own his own little NHRA, as you said, and then his own family. I get that you want to step away from working, work less and enjoy life a little more. I get that. And NASCAR also made him mad though. So that's on NASCAR and Ford. I know Ford, he wasn't happy with Ford either with what was going on with that. So I understand why he's stepping away. Sad to see this team shut down and then, kind of rebrand back to how they once were before he stepped in. I'm just happy the drivers have somewhere to go. Josh Berry is going to Wood Brothers. I think he will do pretty well there. Gregson going to front row, although there's the issue with 2311 in front row right now. We think front, like I said earlier in the episode, front row has not said anything that I have seen. But Gregson going to front row. Ryan Priest, that one is, I believe, still rumored. I haven't seen anything on that. But going to RFK with a full sponsored, full season sponsored team from Kroger, which I think is excellent for him. I think that'll do him really, really well. And then Chase Briscoe, he's going to the night team for Joe Gibbs, taking over Martin Truex. I think that's a really, really good spot for him. Hate that he's going to be in a Toyota, but he'll be in a championship team, with a good team set there. So I think he'll do well as well. Cole stepping up from Xfinity to take over the 41 for Haas. Are they sticking with the 41? Did they ever announce that?
From what I heard, they're going to stick with the 41. So
okay. So that's good for Cole. Still, he's coming up with the Cup, but he's not really going to I would say, championship team with Gene Haas. But sad to see the Stewart Haas team shut down and pretty much kind of not be there anymore. So it's part of racing. I get it, especially with Tony wanting to do, his own things with his family, starting family. I get that 100%. I respect that. I know some people that work comes before family, and personally, I don't agree with that, but so I definitely respect his decision. Sad to see him go. But yeah, hats off to him, and best of luck on his new journey for sure. And for the other drivers going to different teams.
Yep. Yeah, so we do have a race to talk about, unfortunately. And we talked about the truck race, and the truck race was dominated by Ty Majeski. The Xfinity race, it was pretty much dominated by Riley Herbst. Mm-hmm. The Cup race, it was for Phoenix, it was a good race compared to a normal Phoenix race. Joey Logano, he's able to get a late race restart. Really good. Thank you, Christopher Bell, for holding up the 24, because if the 24 been able to get out front, he would have been able to do what Logano did. May not have held Ryan Blaney off there at the end, but he could have at least driven away like Logano did. Logano did not have the best car. Logano probably had the third best car of the championship four, because Blaney obviously had the best car. I think Byron had the second best car, then Logano, then Reddick, out of the championship four. So, not impressed.
Yeah.
Late race restart, Logano's able to get out. Blaney chased him down, but Blaney did not push the issue. Joey knew how to block. Man, that's the thing I hate about this car, is the fact that you can have a car that's so much better than the car in front of you, but they can aero block you.
Yep.
It may feel like you have 20 more horsepower than they do, because your car is just that much stronger, your tires are that much better, and you can't pass them because they can aero block. And Joey Logano, as much as I dislike him, he's good at aero blocking. If they would get rid of the aero, and how do you get rid of aero? You take the underpainting off the car, you take the spoiler off the car, and you give the car 1,000 horsepower. That gets rid of your aero problem. Mm-hmm. That also gives you tire wear, because you're spinning the tires coming up off of the corner. So you've got to manage that. So whoever can save their tires can pass. Okay. But this also shows with so Joey Logano wins the race. Ryan Blaney finishes second. William Byron finishes third. William tried pit strategy, but the caution came out at the wrong time, which really kind of hurt him as far as that goes. And Tyler Reddick, and that's your top four championship finishers. but it shows how flawed this system is. Joey Logano, at the beginning of the chase, was 14th in points.
Yep.
He went out, he won Atlanta, and locked himself into the round of 12. He had a terrible round of 12 and did not make the round of 8. Austin. Alex Bowman gets disqualified, which, honestly, let's be honest with you. Let's be honest about it. Had Joey Logano not won at Nashville on field mileage race, he would not have made the playoffs anyway.
Nope.
But so he makes it on Nashville on a field mileage race. He wins Atlanta. He gets into the round of 8 off of Alex Bowman's disqualification. He wins at Las Vegas again in a field mileage race and goes to Phoenix and wins the Phoenix race. Granted, he does have 4 wins on the year. He's got the second most wins of any driver. Kyle Larson with the first was 6. Okay, but the path that he took to get there should not be there in the first place. He finished in the overall point standings 11th in points. He's the championship. He's the champion. The driver who finishes 11th in points should not be the champion.
Nope.
And I understand. I understand what I understand their purpose. I just don't like it.
No, I mean this. The way I viewed it, which I texted you this, I know you turned the race off. You pretty much turned the race off as soon as it was over. But let me see it. When they go to interview Joey, they ask him, what did he think? He goes, "Man, I love the playoffs." Yeah, because you lucked into it, and they basically handed you this championship. You didn't actually earn it.
He would not have a championship if you go back to pre-2004, the full season points championship. He would not have a championship. If you did the chase, the 10-race chase that they did from 2004 to 2013, Joey would not have a championship. He's got 3 championships off of the playoffs.
Yep. And I think that's bull crap. That's just my opinion. This playoff has proven time and time again that some people that have been crowned champion actually shouldn't have won the championship.
Mm-hmm. And let's face it, we've all had drivers. You and I both have had drivers that have won championships on this format. Kevin Harvick won in 2014. Martin Truex won in 2017. Chase Elliott won in 2020. Mm-hmm. Okay. But they would have been champions. Maybe a different year, but they would have been champions under both of the old formats.
Yep.
Either way. Truex, hands down, would have been champion in 2017, no matter the format, because of the way he won. Kevin Harvick, he would not have been champion in 2014, but in the chase, in the 10-race chase, and in the old full season format, he would have won it in 2015. Chase Elliott would have won it in 2020 regardless. But we've seen the system is flawed. We saw it in 2015 when Kyle Busch missed a third of the season and won the championship. We saw it in 2018 where I believe it was Matt Kraft in the Truck Series did not win a race all year and won the championship. We saw it in 2018 where Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, and Kevin Harvick were dominant drivers. Joey Logano barely squeaked into the Final Four and won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it. We saw it in 22 when Joey Logano got in there. We saw it in 23 when Ryan Blaney got in there. We saw it this year with Ryan Blaney. We've seen it in the Xfinity Series in other years. I can't remember all the years that we've seen a 10th, 11th place driver win the championship. And I understand. I see what NASCAR is going for. They're trying to be like all these other sports. It's the only motorsport in the world that does not have a full season points championship to crown its champion. It is the only motorsports in the world that, in my opinion, does not have a legitimate season champion. Because Joey Logano, he is a playoff champion. Kyle Busch is a playoff champion. Ryan Blaney, like it or not, is a playoff champion. If it wasn't for the playoffs, they would not have won their championship.
Right. Nope. I agree 100%. You know, like I said, I understand the format, but I don't agree with the format. I believe the old point system winner from one of the guys we follow on Twitter, the actual champion off the old point system was Christopher Bell.
Yep.
He wasn't even in the final championship 4, but with the season he had it 5 points over Chase Elliott on the old scoreboard. And
if you want to follow them on Twitter, their Twitter handle is NASCAR Winston Cup Series standings.
I'll put their Twitter link on the in the description if you want to check them out. I recommend it. It kind of makes it interesting seeing the old compared to the current. And
everybody's mad because they say that, well, we would have crowned a champion 3-4 races before the final race. Well, going into Phoenix, Chase Elliott was ahead by 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also going in, had Kyle Larson finished 11th or better. I read this last night on the Winston Cup point standings page. Had Kyle Larson finished 11th or better in the Coca-Cola 600, he would have been champion. But he would have had to wait until Phoenix to win his championship. So, and of course, other people. The other argument is, well, they would race different. They would race towards consistency. But here's the thing with consistency. Consistency is great. Consistency is how every other motorsports in the world crowns their champion.
Mm-hmm.
And if NASCAR wants to put an emphasis on winning, just give more points to the winner.
Yep.
Give them 15 extra points, instead of 5. Give them 15. Instead of them getting 40 points for the win, give them 50 points for the win. Then the next person, the second place person, gets 35 points and on down the line. Yep. I mean, so what? Okay, if that's what you want to do, but make the system where winning counts, but consistency does too.
Yep.
And because that's legitimizing your champion. Even the 10 race chase, I didn't like that. Of course, a lot of reasons I didn't like that was because there was the same tracks every year, and Jimmy Johnson won at the same tracks every year. So I didn't like that format because they figured out, okay, well, if we run good at these 6 of the 10 tracks, we can throw away the other 4. Because we'll have enough points to where we'll be able to go to Homestead and all we got to do is finish 15th at Homestead and we win the championship.
Yep.
Okay. So they were still basically, they won the championship 2 or 3 races before the end of the season. Everybody's like, well, nobody will watch. They would have this year because you didn't know who was going to win the championship in the old format till you got down to the last lap. And these drivers, okay, back then, these teams had sponsors that sponsored the team. Okay. Miller Genuine Draft sponsored the 2 team that Rusty Wallace was hired to drive. GM Goodwrench sponsored the 3 team that Richard Childress hired Dale Earnhardt to drive. Budweiser sponsored the 8 team that Dale Earnhardt Jr. drove. Napa sponsored the 15 team that Michael Waltrip drove. Okay, they sponsored the team. If the driver left, a lot of the times the sponsor would stay with the team. Okay, so the driver's goal was to go out and score the most points possible. Okay, towards the championship. Consistency was key. In today's world, drivers, the sponsors come with the drivers a lot of times. We saw it with Budweiser. They came with Kevin Harvick over to Stewart-Haas Racing. Ream came with Kevin Harvick over to Stewart-Haas Racing. Hunt Brothers Pizza, Kevin Harvick, Stewart-Haas Racing. I can't even name all of these sponsors that Kevin Harvick brought. Jimmy Johns brought from Richard Childress Racing over to Stewart-Haas Racing. They were Kevin Harvick sponsors. If Kevin Harvick went to drive for Hendrick Motorsports, guess where Anheuser-Busch was going to go? They were going to go to Hendrick Motorsports. Okay, because they were going with Kevin Harvick wherever Kevin went. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the drivers now, if you don't win, you are not sponsored. We see teams that do not make the playoffs struggle for sponsorship. Consistently do not make the playoffs. Like this year we had the 1 car, the 23 car, the 3 car, the 8 car, and a couple other cars that would normally be in the playoffs did not make the playoffs, right? Okay. Right. But they made the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still riding the sponsorship momentum from last year. But if 2 or 3 years go, they don't make the playoffs, they're going to be struggling for sponsorship. And it doesn't matter who's in that car. Because if the team is going to run 20th, no matter who you put in that car, you're going to struggle for sponsorship.
Right.
Well, if those drivers have an incentive to go out and win, and that incentive is the more we win, the more points we get, the higher we'll be in the championship. They're going to go out and try to win. If I had a team, my goal is to win 36 races. Is that possible? No. But that's the goal. They all say that's their goal, but it's not. Joey Logano, after he won Las Vegas, had no incentive whatsoever to race at Homestead or Martinsville. And we see he did not show up at either one of those tracks.
Nope.
I think he had a top 10 at Martinsville, but that's just because that's where he was, but he wasn't really trying. Okay. AJ Allmendinger, same thing. He won at Las Vegas in the Xfinity Series. He had nothing to race for at Homestead. He had nothing to race for at Martinsville. He didn't show up. I mean, he was there, but they didn't talk about him all day. And I think that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should have to race for the win, for the highest position you can get. Whether it's second, if your car is a third place car, you need to race to be a third place car. I don't care if you won last week, because last week's win, that was just 15 more points for you this week.
Mm-hmm.
But if you finish 15th this week, you're out of the championship hunt. That's the way it needs to be. I mean, And this format does not do that. So NASCAR needs to change it. They've talked about making some changes. I don't know what those changes are going to be. Kevin Harvick had the stupidest idea I've ever heard. He said, "Give the regular season championship a bye into the championship 4. Give the second place person a bye into the championship 8, third place into the 12, and so on and so forth." That's just stupid, because Tyler Reddick had not won at Homestead, Tyler Reddick would not have been in the championship 4.
Mm-mm.
Everybody's like, well, Kyle Larson had the most wins. Kyle Larson didn't win the regular season championship. If he'd have finished second, which I think he did, he would have been automatically in the round of 8. Well, then that means he's got nothing to race for those first 6 races of the playoffs. Okay. Fans don't want to see their drivers. Even Joey Logano fans did not want to see their drivers racing 27th at Homestead.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to see my driver win at Las Vegas and race 27th at Homestead. I don't care if he goes out in 2 weeks and wins the championship. He still finished 27th at Homestead and probably killed my fantasy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So NASCAR needs to listen. If they want to listen to the fans on social media, they need to listen to this, because Joey Logano is very disliked. Joey Logano does not have, he'll never win the most popular driver. I don't think he'll ever, I think there was a couple years maybe where he would have won most hated driver. I don't think he would be there right now. But I think he would give whoever was there a run for their money.
Yeah.
Does that mean he's not a deserving champion? No. I mean, I'm not going to take away. He played the game.
Yep.
This isn't and I'm not a Joey Logano fan. Okay. But this isn't a case of hate. This isn't a case of don't hate the player, hate the game. This is a case of I don't like the player and I don't like the game. In this situation, had William Byron probably went out and won last night, I probably would be singing a different tune. Let's be honest. But I've never liked this format, even when my drivers have won, because if they're the most deserving driver and they've earned it, one race should not determine whether they win a championship or not. So, anyway, that's just my thoughts on this whole playoff situation.
I mean, I agree. Of course, as you said, if our driver, would have won, we'd be singing different tunes. But, like you said, you haven't liked this format since it started. I haven't liked this format since I started to understand it. It took me a couple years to understand it. And I know I can say this because, okay, my driver's Chase Elliott. He won under this format in 2020. Yes. But if you look at the other formats that some of these other, some of these people do on Twitter, he still won it either way. So he deserved it. Same with 2017 with Martin Truex Jr. He deserved it. They won that, period. But when you get these, like you said, with Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, they played the game. Instead of letting the game control them, they controlled the game. I don't like that. They need to fix it. In my opinion, they handed Joey Logano this trophy with the way it went, especially with the disqualification. He was not in the round of 8. He shouldn't have been in the round of 8. But with Alex Bowman's disqualification, which I still have no idea what that was about, with the whole underweight thing. That one still confuses me. But anyway, it puts Logano back in, wins Las Vegas, and then wins Phoenix. I don't see that. That wouldn't have been the case, especially if that DNF hadn't happened for Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, because he didn't earn it. When the checkered flag flew at the Roval, Logano was out.
right.
Uh,
Um,
and I understand penalties and all that, and I understand how all that works. But when you look at the merits of it, and again, in the regular season, in the points system, under today's point system, if you tally up all of the points, Joey Logano would have been 11th in points on the final point standings. Not even a top 10 driver.
and if y'all don't like our opinions, just go look at the post on Instagram and Twitter that when NASCAR made the post of Joey Logano winning the championship, just go look at the comments. If you don't agree with us, well, we said NASCAR needs to listen to the fans on the real things, not the stupid penalties because they're mad. Go look at the fans' opinions. That was a voice crack, but opinions on what they said on these posts. Okay, I went and read them, and I was shocked at how many people are agreeing with what we're saying right now. This format handed him the championship on a platter, and that's a problem.
I think we're burnt out on the format. I think the first few years, the format, it was exciting. It produced some exciting racing. And not saying that it's not producing exciting racing now, but the format itself, I think we're burnt out on. We got burnt out on the 10 race chase, so they changed it. I think it's time to change it again because we're burnt out.
Yep.
And there's people who are taking advantage of the system, and it's paying off for them. And there's other people that are trying to play the game right that it's biting. Kyle Larson for one. So it's just a matter of they need to look at something, at doing something, changing something, and changing the tracks is not it. Next year, the 10 race it looks totally different than this year's 10 race playoffs. That's not enough.
Mm-mm.
That's not enough to fix the problem. I don't know what they need to do, but uh, maybe take away the win and you're in thing, and just be, if you're in the top 16 in points. And that's the other thing. I think there's too many. I don't think there should be more than 12 than 10 to 12. Period. If you're not in the top 10, top 12, whatever number they decide, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you have 15 wins. Or if you have 15 wins, you're going to be in the top 10 in points. Okay. If you are not in the top 12, we'll just say top 12 in points, you don't make the playoffs. Is that going to make some sponsors mad? Yeah. Is that going to make some team owners mad? Yeah. Is that going to make some drivers mad? Yeah. But we've got to do something to change, because at the beginning of the playoffs, Joey Logano was 14th in points. Okay. Without that win, he would not have made the playoffs because there were more people ahead of him as far as wins. So what? And I don't know what they're going to do, but they've got to do something.
I agree, but I guess we'll see, because as we said earlier in the episode, we don't know what exactly the playoffs are looking for next season. Nothing has been said.
But we'll do like we have the other teams. We'll congratulate Joey Logano on winning the championship. Team Penske 3 in a row. They have won all three champions with the Gen 7 next gen car. Um, all three, and that's amazing. Um, but they figured out something about Phoenix. Now, you move the race away from Phoenix, I don't think they win the last three. You have this race at Homestead, championship race at Homestead. I don't think they win 3 in a row. I could be wrong, but I just don't think that they do. But anyway, congratulations to them, and we'll see what 2025 brings.
Well, I know this much. We're getting a new NASCAR console game.
Yes, we are.
Super excited about that. If y'all haven't seen iRacing, we've talked about this multiple times, but iRacing got the what's the word? Yeah, there we go. Licensings for console and PC gaming simulation for NASCAR. If you're not familiar, iRacing has become really, really popular. Huge, realistic simulation of multiple different racing platforms. IndyCar, NASCAR, of course, World of Outlaws, so many different ones. Trophy, a lot of off-road racing as well. So super excited to see that. I kind of caught up on one of the recent videos of how the development is going, and it looks awesome. I cannot wait. 2025. It's supposed to come out fall 2025, so kind of more towards the end of 2025 NASCAR season. But hey, that'll keep me occupied during the off season next year, for sure. Super psyched about it. If you haven't watched their most recent development video update, I highly recommend it. It got me fired up. Of course, I watched it during work when absolutely nothing was happening, so I needed something anyway. But it looks super good. Super excited for that. So yeah, there will be gameplay.
and the amount of time that they've had to work on this game, if it is not the best non iRacing game, and I say iRacing as in legitimate, virtual racing, if it is not the best console NASCAR game ever to be released, they will have dropped the ball majorly. With the amount of time that they've had to work on this, but from everything I've seen those same videos you have, it looks to me like they are going to knock this out of the park. I think it's going to surpass our expectations. I think it's going to give us stuff we didn't even know existed. We didn't even know was possible for a console game. Maybe we knew it was possible on iRacing, but we didn't realize it was this as possible on a console game. So I'm looking forward to it. I hate that we have to wait till the end of 2025 for this game. The only game that I have looked forward to as much, of course, I'm looking forward to this more than what I was looking forward, but the only one that comes close was looking forward to NCAA Football 25. That's the only other game that I have been as excited about getting, because the last one we got was like 2014.
Yep.
Period. The last college football game that we got. So it took 10 years for us to get one. The last NASCAR game that we got was in 2020. We did get the 2022 update, which was not really all that good. But we have not had a NASCAR game in 5 years. Well, and NASCAR Ignition 21 came out, but I never played it. It was not a good game. I wasn't even willing to spend the $20 for it that it eventually dropped down to. But I never did play it. So we did get that in 2021, but it was a flop. So I don't really even count that game. So I'm looking forward to it just like you are.
Yeah. Yeah. With that being said, that's really all the NASCAR news we have for the season. There is a lot of news expected, a lot of unknown whereabouts of where drivers may go, what teams may go. Like in the the playoff format, it may change, it may not. Maybe we can cross our fingers. I put the door number back on the door. Yeah. Uh, Other than that, I got nothing else. You got anything else?
I do. So I
Oh.
made a promise a few weeks ago. I think it was a couple episodes ago, that when this arrived, we were going to do, or I was going to do, a review. Well, it has finally showed up.
Hey!
We have the Daytona 500 win for William Byron. It's finally here. Look for this to come out in the next couple weeks. For my review on this to come out in the next couple weeks. Not this week. I've got a lot of stuff going on this week. But maybe next week I can get to this and get this review done. I'm looking forward to that. We've got some other big things coming over the next several weeks, next month or so of cars that we're going to review. We've got a Martinsville win. We've got a Martinsville 3-pack from when HMS finished 1, 2, 3. We've got those coming in. We've got some other cars. I don't even have my list in front of me to know what exactly is coming in the next within the next month at least. But we do have. Let's see here. The Martinsville win's coming in. Hopefully, the Martinsville win will get here. They're in. They came in this past week, but they're not autographed yet. And being HMS exclusives, it usually takes 2 or 3 weeks to get them autographed and get them out. So hopefully we get those before Christmas. The Coda win is due in next month. William Byron's Coda win is due in next month. So maybe we could get that around the first of the year and get that review done and get that out. We've got Chase Elliott's Texas win. The last win for Hooters is coming in at the end of December. So we'll have that hopefully by mid-January because, again, that's coming from Chase Elliott's store. So it may take a little bit longer to get those in. Those are coming in. The Darlington throwbacks are coming in soon for Chase Elliott. So we've got quite a bit coming up. Some exciting stuff to look at that we're going to be able to look at here. We also have at the end of December coming in is Brad Keselowski's Darlington win that we'll take a look at as well when it comes in. So we've got quite a few reviews that we're going to be able to do over the off season. It gives us something to do, some kind of content to put out that's NASCAR related. If anything major breaks, you might get a short podcast on that story, especially if anything major breaks in the lawsuit situation.
Ooh, yes, absolutely.
If there's any major breaks on that, we'll drop a quick podcast and talk about that. So looking forward to the off season, looking forward to 2025. Hopefully 2025 ends better than 2024 with Chase Elliott or William Byron hoisting that championship trophy. Thing is, we're running out of drivers here because our drivers keep retiring. We lost Tony Stewart retired, then Kevin Harvick retired, then Martin Truex is retired. So luckily we've got Chase and William, and they're a couple of young guys, so they'll be racing many, many years into the future. We've got some other guys coming along like Connor Zillage and stuff like that we'll be following. So, hey, we've even got to look forward to see what Haley Deegan does in IndyCar next year.
Yep.
See if she's able to go out and compete and hopefully puts on a show better than the opportunities that she got in NASCAR. So looking forward to next year.
Absolutely. As you said, we're still gonna have some content rolling, NASCAR related. I'll try to get back into a streaming kind of um, routine. Can't promise anything with my line of work. It's up and down sometimes. Um,
You got to stay in one place long enough to do that. They're moving you all over the country right now.
yeah, part of the job, doing a lot of training, but yeah. Um, Hopefully, I'll have a few weeks here of peace and quiet. I think, where I might be able to get one, uh, 2 or 3 streams going. Try and finish up Gotham Knights, and then I'm gonna pull out the steering wheel setup and play some NASCAR, and maybe some F1 Formula One. That game's kind of boring, but hey, some content that y'all might like. Just to keep content rolling, keep you guys in the loop. Um, so yeah, we're done with the 2024 NASCAR season, but we're not done, period, with the podcast. So, as you said, any big news, especially with the lawsuit, we'll drop in a nice little video for podcast episode for you. Next season, hopefully we have done some trial and error trying to get audio put on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube for podcast audio, so you can listen. Even though it's only on YouTube right now, you may just turn on and listen only anyways, but that's fine. It kind of helps. You can listen to it anywhere from that point. So we'll try to make things better and improve this. And yeah.
Maybe to see some gameplay podcast again next year.
Yeah.
That seemed to go pretty well.
That did go well. It was fun. It was just hard to read notes. That's why we did it once. But I think the game we were playing were the reason why notes were hard. If we played more of a goofy side game instead of running around like a bunch of goofballs in Los Santos. But yeah, we'll see. Things to come for next season, and yeah. So any other words to wrap up?
No. Thank you to everybody that we follow on Twitter. Bob Pockrass, Jordan Bianchi, Dirty Mo Media. I don't want to leave anybody out. Jeff Gluck, Trey Ryan. A lot of people that we get our information from on those sites. Couch Racer, Kenny Wallace. Kenny Wallace is a lot of fun to follow. You do get some information from him. Mark Martin. And on that note, I do need to mention that Bobby Allison passed away Saturday night.
Yes.
Man, what a career. Just talk about somebody that wasn't expecting to win a race in 2024. Bobby was credited with his 85th win from 1971 at Bowman Gray, which NASCAR listed as no winner for many, 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 many years. They finally righted that wrong. Gave Bobby his 85th win. So I don't think he was expecting that, but with them going to the Clash at Bowman Gray next year, I'm glad they didn't wait until the Clash to do it. I'm glad they did it now. That way Bobby was able to know it and receive that before he passed away. You talk about somebody who has had a career. Bobby Allison, he's won championships, he's won races, he's won Daytona 500s. He does not have a memory of his last Daytona 500 win where his son Davey finished second to him. He did not have memory of that because of an accident that happened later in that year. He lost both of his sons. He lost Clifford in 1992 to an accident on track. He lost Davey to a helicopter crash in 1993. And there was a point in time where he's also lost his wife. There was a point in time where he wasn't able to physically do anything, and he was able to get that back where he could at least get around a little bit better. And he had a hard life. He had an exciting life. He was I never got to met him, but I was a Davey fan. When I first started watching racing, so I followed the Allison family. So it's another one gone at 86 years old. But Godspeed to Bobby Allison.
Yep, absolutely. That was sad news, but I agree. I'm glad NASCAR righted their wrong with the Bowman Gray Stadium race winner, letting Bobby know. So may he sleep peacefully, and when the time comes, be joined up with God. And sad news, but no more worldly pain for him. So, yep.
So and then the other shout out I'd like to do, I'm sorry that Bobby Allison thing just kind of jumped in my mind as I was going through all the people that we follow on Twitter. We encourage you to follow. Don't forget about CircleBDiecast.com for all of your diecast needs. They have all of the championship winners from this past week. They have their raced versions and their championship cars on pre-order, so go check them out. They are running right now. They've already started their Black Friday sale. All orders over $20, free shipping in the lower 48 states. The way they've set it up this year, the more you buy, the more you get off. So check them out. Get you a lot of the stuff that they've got on sale is their older diecast. Go check out their previously owned section. Check out their auction pages. They're running auctions pretty much every day right now. So check them out. Give them your business. If you're looking for a diecast that you missed 5, 10 years ago, go check them out. Check out, see if they have it in their previously owned section. Check out their auctions for those diecasts. You never know what you're going to find on there. By the way, we're still wanting them to sponsor us. They sponsor other YouTube shows, and I'm not asking for a lot, but any little bit helps.
Yep,
with
absolutely.
the amount of diecasts that we buy. And I think maybe getting in the reviews will help us with that a little bit more. Unfortunately, not all of the diecasts that we get come from Circle B Diecast because, as I mentioned with the William Byron thing, some of them are HMS exclusives. You can only get them through the HMS site or their driver's site. So, which the other funny thing is, if it comes from the driver's site, it's still got this little cool wrap.
Protective sleeve.
Yeah, sleeve. That's what you call it. But anyway, check out CircleBDiecast.com. Man, hit them up right now because the sale that they've got going on, they will change it up come Thanksgiving week. But for right now, they started earlier. They've never started this early before, and they're running some really good stuff right now. So check them out.
Absolutely. Circle B's 90% of our diecast. Check them out. Sponsor us. Wink, wink. Hint, hint. Whatever, But yeah.
We forgot fantasy.
Oh, we did. Well, let's run fantasy real quick. You beat me. There, we've covered it.
Almost 200 points.
Yeah, I dropped badly in fantasy. I forgot a few races with being wrapped up in work. You do come out on top. You in first place at 6,687. Me in a lovely second at 6,496. And I don't know what happened to Trey.
He quit picking. So
yeah. Sadly, he had a lot of ups and downs going through the year. He had to focus on, which I respect. I'm glad he took the time to take care of things he needed to take care of. But he came in third with 3,800. But hey, Trey, what you giving to first place? No, I'm kidding. Well, you won fantasy. What diecast would you like? I will.
I don't know. I have to think about that one.
All right,
I'll let you know. I just have you pay for one of the ones coming in soon.
There you go. That works.
But hey, next year, let's not skip the first 2 races. Let's go ahead and start with Daytona.
Yeah, that was on me. I didn't think about it until after Atlanta race. Yeah, we'll be ready to roll next year.
Yeah, because I was in like 25th, 1000th place. But I was only about 600 points behind the leader. Had we not missed those first 2 races, I might have only been like 300 points behind the leader.
Yep. So, yeah, that's fantasy. You win. Our head-to-heads, we kind of quit between us. Last we did, we tied. So, nothing really there. Of course, that was a long
we'll try
time
to do
ago.
better next year.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. Any final words?
Just your sponsors.
Yeah. So, of course, thank you to the sponsors, partnerships I have with the channel. Of course, you got Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. Yeah. Hey, he's got one of the cans. I don't have anything with me. 6 new merch designs have dropped about 2 hours ago. It's not really new. Actually, yeah, there is some new stuff in here. Looking at the app, wow, that's actually pretty cool. A couple t-shirts, sticker set. Yep. So go check them out. Check out their app. Check out their website down in the link description. Use code SterlingRider for 20% off at checkout. And then, of course, we got Rankest Rope Ranch Wear, as you see on my hat. You may have seen on my shirt a couple times. Old style Western and rodeo mixed together. They just dropped Western flare leggings for the ladies, and they also just released their fall long sleeve and hoodies of their new set. So check them out. Use code SilverDuke01 for 15% off at checkout. Their link also down in the description. And then last but not least, we've got Undrdog Athletix, UDX, a Christian athletic brand to help show your faith while playing your favorite sport. So check them out. They got a lot of cool stuff as well. SterlingRider01 for 15% off. Also link down in the description below. Thank you to these 3 guys. They've stuck with me ever since starting. Dubby especially being pretty much at the start of the channel. I was only 2 months in maybe when they picked up. When I picked them up as a partnership. So thank you to them especially for sticking with me since the beginning. And I forget to mention them 90% of the time, but thank you, Mark Clan Gaming, the gaming, sponsored by W Energy. I am a part of the gaming team. I forget so much with my work job. But shout out to Mark Clan Gaming. Go check out their clips and videos on their YouTube channel. I'll link it down in the description below. I really need to get better at mentioning them as I am a part of them, and I appreciate them. I almost completely forgot about them, but then on my birthday, I got private messages from people within the gaming teams saying happy birthday, and I felt really bad because I was like, oh, wow, I forgot about you guys a lot. So thank you, Mark Clan Gaming, for letting me be part of the gaming family y'all have. Thank you, Dubby, for sponsoring them, and me, of course. So check them out as well. And yeah, that's it. So with further ado, go ahead.
Thank you to all of our veterans. Thank you to their families. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. We would not be able to be free. You see, I got my Freedom Racing hat from Couch Racer. We would not be free if it were not for all of our men and women who have served in our military. So thank you.
Absolutely. I second that. I don't have anything American on right now. Well, actually I do, but I'm not going to get details. But y'all hung y'all's uniform up at the end of the day, and I thank you guys for that, for the time you served. I know I've been really quiet about my work job, but I am serving currently. I'm not going to say what branch, but I am currently serving in the U.S. military. I'm looking at my uniform right over there. It's hanging up. That's the reason why I travel so much lately. So thank you to you guys. You're the reason I decided to join and serve as well. So big thank you to you guys for your sacrifice and the fight for our freedom. So yes. With that being said, that is a wrap on the 2024 NASCAR Round the Track with the Riders podcast. And the only other times you may see us until 2025 is the lawsuit news. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll let you know. With that being said, watch out for content on the channel. As he said, diecast reviews coming soon in the next couple weeks. I'm gonna try and get back into some gaming streams here, and I also have kind of figured a way out to record some actual videos as well. So be on the lookout for those on the channel. And if we don't see you or get the chance, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Thanksgiving. I'll start with Thanksgiving. A lot of people were like, oh, you forgot Turkey Day. No, I didn't. But Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays, whatever holiday you may celebrate. I know there's quite a lot going on through this time of the year. Whoops, I hit the desk. So enjoy it. Spend some time with the family if you can. Friends even. So yeah. That's it. So thank you guys so much for staying with us throughout the season. And we'll see you right before the Clash at Bowman Stadium, Bowman Gray Stadium, for our preseason show. All right. With that being said, and with further ado, peace out, right on, God bless.